Sarge leads the team in his mission to stop the Shrike, though he does keep a few very important parts of that plan to himself. And in space, Izel leads Fitzsimmons and crew back to Earth, also keeping a few very important parts of that plan to herself. It says something when the most reliable source of information is an ancient Incan legend. It's Agents of S.P.O.I.L.E.R.S, Season 6, Episode 8, Collision Course, Part 1. Hey everyone, D here, and welcome to this week's review, slightly delayed, of Agents of S.P.O.I.L.E.R. So, of course, spoilers are ahead. And a reminder, our quick jump index system. Right down in the description below, we'll have this review broken down and time-coded into easy jump-to reference parts. It's like a monolith of your own. Jump forward, jump back. Watch this review in any order you want. So, do want to start out here with a thank you everyone for being patient with me. This review is delayed because we had a little bit of an earthquake here in Southern California. It is part of living in this state. Luckily, in my neck of the woods was not too bad. It was pretty sizable, about a 6.9 on the Richter scale, so a good chunky earthquake. I guess the strongest like in 20 years. And like I said, in my neck of the woods, it was fine. It was kind of long, a little rolly. It was kind of fun to me. A little stronger up in Ridgecrest where it was, the epicenter was. It's about 150 miles north of me, so they got hit pretty hard. But luckily, unfortunately, the only problem that I had with the earthquake, outside of just the little couch surf ride there, was that the news interrupted Agents of S.P.O.I.L.E.R. So I had to wait a day in order to get to watch it. So thank you all for being patient, waiting for this review. I do appreciate it. Though in some sense this is a little bit of a sneak preview of things to come, because yes, in 2 weeks I will be gone. I will be on vacation. That is so that's Friday the 19th. Episode 10 will be airing, so that review will be delayed. I'm hoping no more than 48 hours, 24 to 48 hours. I don't know what my schedule is, or internet access or anything like that. So it will be out. It will just be a little bit delayed. So like I said, that's in 2 weeks, episode 10. Also, do want to give a big, huge thanks to everyone that was able to make it live for our live stream chat this past Wednesday with Rob Stone over in Smirking Gun Reviews. Just talked about the first half of the season, things that we liked, things we were hoping to see, kind of expectations. It was a good time. It was about an hour long, so it didn't go for too bad. We did get a lot of questions we tried to answer, so if anybody left a question in our last show in the description, Neil, I'm talking to you specifically, you got all your questions answered. And actually, we get, like I said, through this, we got some really interesting discussion. Some things that we're actually going to, I think, play out through tonight's episode, this past episode. So yeah, it was a really interesting discussion. If you didn't catch it, no problem. It is in the archive, so you can just take a look under the Agents of S.P.O.I.L.E.R. playlist, and it is right there. Alright, so this week's episode, part 1 of 2, and kind of like two-parters, this was a lot of setup. There was a lot going on, though it wasn't necessarily action-wise. I mean, let's just say overall, great episode. Good story, good interactions. There was some nice moments between Mac and Yo-Yo, him asking her she's going to need her back up here, and she's there for him. A little lightness in the discussion was nice to see. Some good bits between May and Daisy talking about how strange it is to have Sarge there, looking like Coulson, and just the whole weirded out, and he's dead and we buried him, which again, interesting thing, but We'll get into it a little bit more shortly. So anyway, like I said, good episode, lot of great fun stuff. I will be hitting some points, specific points later on, but I want to kind of dive into the big chunky. You know how much I love information reveals and how we can sort of explore and theorize in with the story. But what we are getting here between the sort of split between the on the ground with Sarge and up in space with Izel is in some ways you can get the play game of who's really the bad guy. Sarge is telling that Izel is the bad guy. Izel is saying that Sarge is the bad guy. You know, she's driven by hate. Yeah, she knows who he is. This back and forth where you could play which one of them is the villain. However, they also lean in pretty heavily on who that villain is. Yes, we know that there is more to Sarge, and Izel sort of implies into that, and we're going to touch on that very shortly. But they really play in on Izel being the big villain. And they do that from the very beginning. I mean, we have that discussion between Mac and Yo-Yo, and Mac's talking about the beast. And Yo-Yo says, it's never what we expect. I hope at least this time we can recognize it. And there's an immediate camera transition to Izel on the ship. I mean, you can't spell out more clearly villain than that. Now we do get the little discussion, you know, Izel tries to get a little bit of history on where she's come and what she's after. We get the information on the Dialis and such, which, and again, by the end, implying that she's just innocent, she's just looking for the Dialis, and this guy is just, she took out the crew and killed him, and she's trying to stop, and oh, I know who he is. Again, playing back as Coulson the villain. And then like 2 scenes later, she's standing there with a Shrike taking out poor Puff's guy. It's so sad, he just wants his Puffs. So, I mean, yeah, obviously holding a Shrike in your hand pretty much spells out you're with the villain. And aren't they kind of cute? Really? I mean, not moving? They look like little baby dragons. Kinda. They're not going down your throat and sending spikes and stuff out of you. So yeah, that pretty much then clears up her as the bad guy. And then we get Benson's information drop. The ancient Incan legend, which pretty much spells out, yes, it's this person, this creature called Izel. And look, there's little shrike-looking birds around here on this. So again, very much laying out, this is our bad guy. But in that, in fact, with the Coulson discussion, background discussion, Izel's discussion, and what Benson leaves out, I think we might have a clear picture of who everyone is for the most part and where they come from. Because while Fitzsimmons asks Izel about where you come from, that she can't go home anymore, when she's like, I wish I could go home. Oh, you can't? Oh, is it because of your mission? It seems to imply, I think, even in Fitzsimmons' mind, that perhaps she has lost her planet, kind of like Chronica was. But she never acknowledges that. Because she's not from a planet, she is from a dimension of fear and darkness. And where have we heard that before? The dark dimension. She's from the dark dimension. And so are the monolith, because that's where they came from. Again, she doesn't say that she made them, or even that her people made them. They were created to control these things. But she never right out says or claims that she had made them. So, from the legend, thousands of years ago, she escaped from a realm of fear and darkness. Again, sounds like the dark dimension. And she is searching for the Dialis in order to regain her power. So it seems that she can control the Shrike, or have created the Shrike, but she has no more from that. And that's why she is searching. Maybe the Shrike is the only bit of power that she has, and she needs the Dialis in order to regain the rest of hers, which, of course, would give her control over time and movement, space, and all those types of things. But she knows Sarge. Definitely seems to be a strong competitor, someone she is worried about. So what's the relationship between the two of them? And no, they weren't married. It was a good idea. Again, back from the discussion on Wednesday. But I think that Sarge is Coulson. we were discussing this. This came up in the discussion on Wednesday, and the more I thought about it, the more I really loved it, and I think plays in very well. Coulson's a writer. Well, sort of. I think when he was taken, when he made the deal with the writer, he was to die and then to be taken to continue this battle, this search for the creature that had escaped the dark dimension. Now, whether he went back in time or just while moving around dimensions, I mean, dark dimension can go a bunch of different places there. I think that sort of established it up. I think that is Coulson, and there's a writer in his body that has maybe suppressed his memories of who he is. But he does talk about that he had lost his family. I mean, it's one kind of funny thing. It was a great scene where if Daisy asks what drives Izel, you know, it's hatred for all sorts of living things. And what drives you? Love. No, it's hate. It's the same thing. I'm into that too. I love that. But what do you say? Hate and revenge because they killed my family. Hate and revenge. Doesn't that sound like a spirit of vengeance? And if he did go back in time and he is this old, it makes sense because the spirit of vengeance heals. That's one thing that always bothered me with how season 5 laid out, is because when there's spirit of vengeance, it heals who it takes over. It doesn't diminish them unless they had to do a little fake out because the real deal was not, you know, yeah, you can come in, but you're going to die. It's, okay, we'll help you out, and then you come help us out. Sure, Coulson's bit was a little shorter time-wise, but I think that's what it is. And the fact that he is so driven by his family, that could be May and Daisy. Because by dying and leaving and being taken over, he did lose his family. So all he needs, he doesn't even seem to know who he is. He always plays off of, we're not going to play this name, we're not going to get into it. He even talked about he didn't lose a planet. Just that he is driven by vengeance. And she caused the loss of his family. His pursuit, the deal for him to go, certainly cost him his family, cost him May, and cost him Daisy. So all you got to do is use that motivation, amp it up with vengeance, and you've got Sarge. So that's my guess. And when Izel is playing out, I know what he is. That he is also a demon from the dark dimension. But he's not. He's only a half demon. And would allow him to live as long, and also could explain the whole hand thing. That was one of the discussions, is what about the hand? Coulson had his hand chopped off, but the spirit of vengeance can heal. And also would explain why when Deke stabbed his hand, it's not bleeding anymore. There's no bandage, there's nothing on it. It all looks fine. Because the spirit of vengeance heals all of that. Now, he hasn't done any flamin' head rider stuff, and maybe he can't. Maybe he doesn't have that much of the spirit in him. Maybe he's only partially driven. Again, I don't have all the answers here. But the fact that Coulson died, was taken by the Rider of the Dark Dimension and used as a tool to stop somebody that gotten away from them, makes total sense. It explains why he is Coulson from a genetic standpoint, explains how he could have lived this long, explains his pure driven motivation of vengeance against Izel, and explains why Izel thinks that she can use power against him, being a demon from the Dark Dimension himself. So, again, I'm throwing it out. Sarge is Coulson Rider, Phil Rider, Ghost Coulson. I gotta come up with a name. Coulson Rider, probably just for the moment, because it makes the most sense. But I think this is what we're going to end up finding out in the long term. I think this is how... And of course, like I said, I love Coulson and I want him back. So yeah, naturally I'm going to find a theory that allows him to come back. Because as soon as Izel's done, then the demon can leave and he can go back to being Coulson. Boom! Again, assuming it all cleans up in the next 5 episodes from now, which Might be a tall order. Also, May said that she feels she could trust him. And as much as she hated seeing that face and that guy and so on, I'm going to listen to May's gut on this. Even though maybe that trust is a little misplaced. But it would explain why she feels she could trust him. Though, with the bomb, that wasn't good. As for the real Fitzsimmons side of the adventure, honestly, not really a whole lot. I mean, again, we're getting our little Izel reveals. We get our poor Puffs guy. We get to see the crew slowly turning into Shrike-driven zombies. Though Fitzsimmons themselves, really the focus on them is more quiet. Just real Fitz being jealous of himself, or former self, or other dimensional self from the future that died, that got to do all of the cool things. And again, an expected kind of fallout when you found out that another you sacrificed themselves and got to be the big hero, and also married the girl that you loved, and got to have, wedding night with her. Little uncomfortable bit there from Fitz. So yeah, from Fitz's side, a little sad. From Gemma's, little bit of reveal on her encounter with Puffs. I thought that was great. They made you sick, didn't they? I wouldn't say sick. Just kind of sidesteps. I did, speaking of sidesteps, I did really appreciate Gemma's smartness. I mean, smart girl, but book smart and street smart entirely sense. She's got to be a very good agent of keeping things to herself. With not revealing to Izel that the monoliths on Earth all kind of blew up and tore a hole in dimensions, and again, did provide a nice venue for the wedding, which it did, for sure, was very pretty. But yeah, so I think that's definitely gonna change some of Izel's plans. That might be a little good bit of information to have over her head. But I love the whole bit. And of course, the line from the Puffs about Fitz in a monkey suit dancing. I love how she just sort of jumped. Well, you're in a monkey suit dancing. Oh, and what's going on with this? Just, again, her ability to change subjects was fun. It was an amusing little scene, really, but not a whole lot real major story-wise. Just sort of fun moments. I think they're going to be coming into play a little bit more, because they're the only Shrikeless on the ship that's about to come down where all the Shrikes are, so I hope that sonic thing that Deke fixed is working. Speaking of Deke, having a bit of an adventurous day. Loses 10% of his company to Mac, which I loved. I loved him pushing back on that to get Deke to sort of help out there. Could always tell Daisy what I saw in your little place. I don't care. All right, 5%, 10%. Mac's going to be owning Deke's company, so he's going to be a full partner soon enough. Though my assumption is that company is not going to be lasting very long. However, his adventures on the bus really centering around Snow. And what a couple they make. I'm not entirely there with Daisy about having to bleach my eyes out about that, but that was hilarious for the first meeting of, you look like you have a beautiful soul. I want to see it spill out of you. That is not a complimentary thing. To apparently that being the kind of line that works with Deke. As they end up, him with Hickey and Snow definitely all over him. So, yeah, that was sort of a hilarious bit. A great turnaround. Like Sarge. Liked it more when she was just killing them. But again, an interesting turnaround for Deke there, from being terrorized to being in love. Yes, Sequoia left him for, was it Khan? Was it Agent Khan? Did she leave him for Agent Khan, or just kind of go out with him there? Because he was almost set on fire by Dragon Breath, by Jocko there. Anyway, but I did sort of love how he immediately turns around. Once that intimacy comes in, she is with him. Yeah, he was tying her up when they had Sarge on the run, but as soon as Sarge took off, he popped her right in that. I'm so sorry I had to tie you up. Though again, with where their relationship would go, maybe that is just foreplay. Alright, so there were a lot of good scenes in this. Certainly comical ones, like with Deke there. We had Pax's escape. Poor agent, but I gotta say that was good. Can you at least tell your boss that you got played? You can't tell him when you kill him, Pax. That's not how it works. And then, of course, also Yo-Yo's awesome encounter, tying him back up and pushing Jocko back into containment. That was very cool. You're a big guy. It takes a couple of blows, even at yo-yo speed, to be able to push that size of mass back into the pod. So yeah, a lot of good, funny little moments. But of course, we're here to talk about our Scene of the Week for this week. And while we did have some good moments, not some big action stuff, not some giant things, but there was one moment that just stuck in my head because it was so frickin' cool. And that is Sarge leaving the truck and arriving on the Zephyr. I mean, they've had so much fun with this little doorway things. We had a great fight with this before, as that was sort of moving around and used against May. But here, just the visual shot of Sarge falling forward and the camera spinning and having him pop back up in the Zephyr and do that shot. That's just a cool piece of imaginative photography. And it's not big, it's not giant. Sure, he gets a great line of, a plane. Why didn't we think of that? Sure, that's funny, but I'm just talking from a pure visual candy standpoint. We had a lot of, again, hats up to Mark Kolpak and his team for always the incredible visual effects. Some just beautiful shots of the ship coming down, and of course our giant tower of Crystal Shrike Death and all of that. All super cool. But this, just as a mix of effects and camera tricks of that whole spinning thing, it worked out so cleanly and so perfectly. It was just nice. I want to see more of that cool stuff. All right, just a couple of small things. One, I love Daisy revealing her talents to Sarge. I mean, the first off is, what are you? I'm a hacker. What, you hack off limbs? I like that. That was also... and then also, of course, we have our vision of the magical sword. Was that ever really part of the plan? Not really thinking so. But I love that use of a reveal of Daisy's powers actually stabbing, well, not at, near Daisy. It was off to the side, quite clearly. But that is a perfect way to reveal someone's gifts. And Sarge is a smart guy. But, yeah. Hack off limbs, favorite part. It's a shame that Sarge is so ready to sacrifice Snow there. I mean, they were together. He wanted to keep the team together for sure, but when it came time to do it, I guess vengeance is the main motivation for him. So, bad news for Snow, but good news for the team because now Snow is helping him. Bonus. The little machine that Deke was fixing for Sarge sends out a sonic pulse that disrupts the Shrike. I think somebody else can send out sonic, quakey pulses around. So, yeah, I think Daisy's going to have an extra little ability to help inside of this mission coming up, well, in part 2. Actually, in that scene where Coulson is confronting Deke about getting the machine fixed, right behind Deke, there is a big poster on the wall with this big ring, which looks to me like a Mayan calendar. I mean, we did get a good shot on it, just sort of really brief bit, but the whole circling in the margins were just, again, I know the legend's Aztec, but Mayan's in that area. It would just sort of make sense with all of these cultures sort of interplaying that this might be something that Sarge would have. And we did get a shot of Enoch. Definitely trying to reconnect with some of his people to rebuild his world or rebuild his culture. Great to see that because that encourages me that we will see yet more of Enoch to come. But that does transition us over to our Chronicon hunters who look like they're diving into the memories of Fitzsimmons. I guess when they had them hooked up to that machine, we left a little part of themselves in it. So, what I'm thinking, of course, there is that Hunter thinks he's jumping into the mind of Fitzsimmons. But is he going to be encountering Demon Doc? You know, Leopold the Doctor and Gemma's crazy Japanese ghost id in there? Because that might end up being quite hilarious. A Chronicom hunter just being chased down by Fitzsimmons' dark sides. There's kind of a beauty in that. But also does reveal some definite potential dangers going forward. Really curious where they're going to take that. And of course, as all two-parters tend to be, this first episode was left with quite a cliffhanger. And I have to say, a singular beautiful shot of the big rig, bomb-laden, heading towards the huge tower of Shrike Crystal with the ship entering the atmosphere and coming down to him. It was just a beautiful three-piece shot of big rig, tower, and ship all laid out in the background. Great shot. And of course, Sarge up on the Zephyr 1 and Mac having to make a choice of what to do next. Do we take out the truck, save a city, and kill some of our agents? Do we go after the ship and hope our agents can take care of it? Do we do something with the big tower itself? The reality is, of course, will he have a chance to make any of those choices because the Zephyr's about to get taken over by Sarge and company. So, yeah, quite a little cliffhanger for us to leave in, but so much to look forward to for next episode. We should have our big encounter. Hopefully we'll get Fitzsimmons back on the ground. Please, get the whole team together and maybe clear up some of these questions and figure out where we're going to wrap up. We still got to find out, can we get back to the monoliths? Can we return them? Or the fact that they're all gone and blown up, does that really put a permanent crimper in Izel's plan? So, we'll have to wait for next week to get any answers to those. So for now, we're going to go ahead and wrap things up. Thank you guys so much, as always, for watching this review and for your patience in waiting for it to come out. And if you have any thoughts, ideas, comments, you know where to put them. Right down in the section below. What do you guys think of this episode? What do you think about Coulson as a writer, and that being the explanation for Sarge, Izel from the Dark Dimension? Thoughts, ideas, different theories? Throw them right down in the section below. You can also hit the like button. Always appreciated. But you can always catch me on Twitter and Instagram. I am at Darren Jakes. And please subscribe. We got the rest of the season. We've got Legion, which is so good. Final season going on right now. And Preacher coming up next month. Don't miss any of those reviews. You want, if you're a subscriber, do that by clicking this button right here. And we'll throw up a couple of our latest reviews right here for you to check out. So, that's going to be it for me. I'm D, and I'm out of here. Catch you guys next time. Bye-bye.